Ebola is a life-threatening disease that is taking over West Africa, specifically Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia.
This lethal disease became known in March of 2014 in Guinea. It's not only affecting humans, but primates too.
It has been declared as a public health emergency of international concern by the World Health Organization, and we, as Americans, need to help.
Here's Ted and Scott to give you some more information about the Ebola outbreak in West Africa.
My name is Ted Williams, and this is Ambassador to Guinea, Scott. Scott, what are the proposed solutions you have brought up to prevent the spread of Ebola?
Well, our primary solution, Ted, is to quarantine the three countries so that the disease doesn't go anywhere else.
Can you elaborate on these solutions?
All right, so the problem with quarantining is that there's many rural areas, and we can't possibly cut off our entire country. It's just impossible.
Right.
So we've been getting volunteers from the UN in to march the borders and to make sure no one gets out, along with the airports being shut down and the seaports being shut down. It's been a very tedious process.
Has that been effective at all, or has there been any backlash to these economically or politically or socially?
Well, the biggest issue with quarantining is that many of the first world citizens within these nations at the time are very desperately trying to get out because they don't want to be treated in the same conditions as our citizens. And we've been under political pressure to let some of them go, and we have been, as you can see from the cases that have spread to America and Spain, from the workers that we had to set free because of the political pressure being put on us.
How have the doctors and social workers fared in being brought into this whole outbreak and caring for these patients?
Well, we haven't had enough workers from foreign countries, so we've had to train substitute nurses just from the local population, and that's causing many issues because they aren't quite trained as well as the doctors that we should have.
How high is the rate of these nurses being infected?
The rate is very high, to a point where it's almost inevitable for each of these untrained nurses to become infected, because throughout the day they're bathing, changing, and inserting drips into these victims, which sometimes along the way the victim throws up, the victim does other things.
Bleeds on them, precisely.
Especially when they're inserting the needle into the vein.
Correct.
A lot of the untrained nurses, they bleed the patient first because they keep missing the vein. And these nurses hardly can even recognize their own symptoms, and they start infecting other patients who don't even have the disease yet.
So what I'm getting from this is that aid from countries that are more medically advanced, such as the United States and Canada and the United Kingdom, these increases in the medical technology and even such simple items such as gloves and simple storage to get rid of the infected items, that would probably be really beneficial. So that would be one of the items that would probably be needed in donations, correct?
We don't even have enough protect environment suits for our nurses to go in and treat with the patients. So they're having to go in with just gloves and a face mask.
So that definitely seems like one of the big donations will have to be medical equipment, along with new nurses and doctors and social workers for this. How has the effects of the virus and the mass deaths that have mounted because of it, how has those affected the families of those?
One of the lesser known issues with having an outbreak like this is that families are always torn apart by the disease. Children left without parents, parents left without children, and then the struggling economy in our nation where the children have to work on the farms and the children require their parents for food and money. We're having more and more people dying of starvation now than ever before because all these people, no one is providing for these children anymore. So whenever a patient is released, we decided to provide them with a sack of rice, some clothes, and money for school. And it's really weighing down our available budget for the disease.
So I can definitely see that more aid for food and schooling will probably be necessary as well. One of the things I'm trying to pick up from this is, would blood donations be effective at all, or how are those playing into any of your solutions?
Well, patients are losing bodily fluids very rapidly, and one of the best ways to provide them with new is a blood transfusion to clean the blood and like stop the infection from spreading so fast to the other parts of the body. But we're having so short of blood, and some of these patients don't even know their blood type, so we're requiring a large amount of O type, and that is a very rare type to have in this country.
So I can see that blood donations are among the highest donations. So as we can tell from this, it's going to be food, monetary, and blood donations that are going to be needed.
Losing a loved one to this awful disease.
By donating blood or money, we can help those affected in West Africa.
By donating